We have serious tips in not so serious outfits today.
Yes.
Try to look yourself in the mirror. Like, do you see yourself? Do you see someone else? Who do you see?
Be consistently good over occasionally great.
30 more days till the end of the year.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Just start today with whatever it is.
Welcome to another edition of the Founder's Diary, festive edition. If you can't tell from our less than usual outfits, today is the holiday episode. So happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays.
Yes, and happy holidays to you if you're listening and tuning in. Sam can't with the festive spirit. He's overtaken by the Christmas
By
cheer.
the sweater. It's distracting.
It's
That's
distracting.
the best one.
Yes. Please let us know in the comments who has the best Christmas sweater.
Affiliate link to my sweater in the comments.
Yeah.
I like the trumpets or the drums, I mean.
Yeah. But regardless, what I would love to chat with you today is looking into the new year. What are kind of like the biggest pieces of advice that you can take based on the learnings that we've had in 2023?
We discussed a lot during the podcasts. When did we start actually? Like beginning of the summer, end of spring, somewhere around that time. And we discussed a lot. And I think, I will start with one takeaway. That's dream big, but start small and realistic.
Yes.
And I think that's a really important one, because especially if you run a venture-backed business, you got to have big dreams, but you got to start realistic, right? You want to build a $1 billion ARR business, but you first start with your first $10 a month, your 100, your 1K, your 10K, your 100K, a million, 10 million, etc. So it's, start small, realistic, but dream big and dare to dream.
Same for the podcast. Like, of course, there are goals, but it's just about, and that ties also into my my tip. And also what I took away from starting the podcast is just start. Like, a lot of people like to think, they like to strategize, and that's also important. There's room for that. But I think too many people spend too much time on strategizing, brainstorming. What are we going to do? What is the goals? But there's also power in just starting. And that's what we did with the podcast. Just starting small. We had one camera over there.
Yeah.
Did it look nice? Well, not really, but it was just enough for us to start. And then we expanded on it. Then in the next season, big updates, but I won't spoil. But I think those two things tie together, like dream big, but start small. And if you start, just really start with it and don't wait too long. Don't brainstorm another time. Just do it.
Absolutely. I think speaking to you both, like those tips definitely do go together. That's probably what sets a lot of like startup founders apart from the people who just have the big ideas. You have to dream big, but then you have to take the steps to start executing, which is, of course, back in one of our first episodes, we talk about like the values of instant and how execution and ambition are two of those. So I think that definitely can stand out to any founders out there or people who would like to start their own business soon.
Yeah. I hope so. We have serious tips in not so serious outfits today.
Yes. But what else should people be thinking about for the new year? Like, what are some learnings that you've had this year?
It's a quote I heard. I don't know. I think it was in a podcast by Nick Bear. He is a YouTube influencer, but also business person, entrepreneur. Has a big supplement company.
A YouTube influencer.
Yeah, whatever. What do you call them? YouTube creator. A creator. But in a podcast, a guest said, be consistently good over occasionally great. And that really stood out to me because especially when I first started out, I was more the occasionally great type of person, where you just, it's just a day where you go all in, you work till super late at night, try to do everything at once. And of course, you get somewhere. But if you are just consistently good, you get way farther than just having those peaks of productivity or ideas or just executing. That really stood out to me. And I think that's just super important carrying into next year. Aim for consistency. and do not per se aim for these moments of greatness. Just be very, very consistent.
Absolutely. Brings me back to my childhood. Of course, growing up in the US, your parents are always like, we want you to get all A's and stuff. But then as you get older, people start to say, well, remember, like if you can even just get a consistent B, then maybe you have more time for those other things in your life. And that's still kind of good. So I think that mindset is something that I feel like a lot of people are now trying to shift a little bit towards overall, that if you're always trying to be perfect and perfectionism, sometimes you can kind of miss those like consistency that can maybe pull you along a little bit further in your journey.
Yeah, it's what I've learned from my experience. It just brings you more than trying to, like even if it's great, really try to peak or certain meetings or certain things in the business. It just gets you a lot farther. It also takes less energy if you aim for consistency over, moments of brilliance, so to say.
Absolutely. I think being good for a while can also make your company great in the end as well.
And with the podcast or with the business, it's also a super long journey. So it doesn't really make sense to aim for this brilliant moment, because you need to be good for a decade and not great for a year.
Absolutely. And what about you, Koen? What are some of your takeaways for hopefully for next year?
Yeah, I think one important one is don't neglect yourself. And it's an important one really to stay true to yourself, because you as a person, really defines how you will live your life. And I think the values you establish with yourself, stay true to it. Just, and don't neglecting yourself, meaning you can work extremely long, hard hours, and then you come home, and you're tired, you're going to sleep, and the next day over and over. But it's, look yourself in the mirror, like, who am I? What do I want? And I think that's like a critical voice that's always in me. But it's, try to look yourself in the mirror. Like, do you see yourself? Do you see someone else? Who do you see? I think staying true to that. Speaking of decades, right? Staying true to yourself for a decade, I think that, will have a great impact. And it also sets me a bit thinking, like, what can happen if you really stay true to yourself for 10 years? Like, I don't know yet, because I have developed myself so much over the years. But I think right now, the routine we have, like for the last 2 years, but we still iterate on it. But doing that for 10 years, I'm super curious, like, what will happen.
Absolutely. I think we've spoken previous episodes about a lot of the things you're both focusing on, not only like in the business, but your personal fitness, your personal brand, your personal relationships. I think like all of those things, if you're like keeping that consistency, as you mentioned, it's amazing to see like what will happen in any of those respects.
Yeah, and it's of course compound effect, right? Like, when you start out, you don't know so much and you learn so much. But I think right now, I am at least confident that we have the knowledge in our presence to, do this for a decade. And I think it will bring us really, really, really far.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe to tie into that, it's not per se a tip we've prepped. But I think it goes hand in hand again. And it's not really a tip, because I started doing it couple of days ago, so I can't say you need to do it because it works.
Check in next year.
But staying true to yourself, what I've been doing is when I wake up, I journal a little bit. And what I write down is sort of my values. So what do I think is important? A little bit about the purpose, the why. I hate the word, but it's
important.
It's important. Like, why do you
wake up?
And then some general thoughts. And I just already noticed such a big difference. Let's say you start your day, you close the alarm, and then you open the news app, and then you're all again, like you're just woke up, and then you see the news, and like it's a super big difference if you do that compared to no phone and just be with your own thoughts just for a little bit, and it makes a big difference throughout the whole day. So it is something that I will try to continue next year, and then maybe end of next year I can give the tip that you need to do it.
But there's one funny thing, because you said I'm journaling, and I was doing the same, but we didn't discuss it.
Wow.
So that's like really at the same day. Like I have done it in the past, never consistent.
Yeah.
But I think, with acquiring some new insights, that it just sets the intention for the day. Like, right? It's like, okay, you have the values for yourself. Like I find execution important. I find winning the day important. Writing that down, it just puts those thoughts in your head. And what you say, reading the news, right? The politics or whatever, like that's then stuck in your head. And you should ask yourself the question, with what thoughts do you want to wake up? Is it the news? Is it the Instagram stories of a girl or boy you follow? What do you want in your head?
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of journaling, so I can't wait to hear more about this, even off mic, because I also kind of wake up in the morning. I write down what I think like my mood is on like a little scale and like why I think it's that way, to try to like take a little attention to myself. And then each month I can kind of look back and see on a graph like, oh, it's trending downward. What do I need to change in my life?
Book or digitally, or?
I've done it like both in like a journal, and then when I run out of pages, which is a great feeling. Now that you're getting into journaling, I know you talked about having those trophies on the shelf. Same happens with the journal, and it's even more fulfilling when you finish that page. So,
is it a special book you buy for it, or is it just like a regular notebook?
I like to try to pick something that feels like it fits me. Like some years it's like very colorful. Sometimes it's just very small, discreet, easy to carry around. This last year was actually a gift that I got from one of my family members. So it had more of like the nostalgia. It wasn't necessarily like a print I would have picked. It's very flashy, but at the same time I was like, you know what? Sometimes you have to like try something on, see if it fits. And although I feel like going into New Year, that's what a lot of people are doing, is trying to figure out maybe what do I think I can carry into the next year from this year? What are things I want to change? And I hear from both of you that you've kind of identified, both personally and professionally, these are the things we want to double down on. This is something maybe new I want to try. And I think that's the exciting thing about a new year. Yeah.
And the new year, I think for me, it's both sides. Like I think a lot of people put too much emphasis on the new year. In the new year, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. I think if you want to start something, you can also start with it right now. But I do think the end of the year is a good sort of time to reflect and really think about, okay, what did the past year look like? What did I do that really helped me? What was sort of nonsense that I did? And sort of reflect in that way and then improve. But I think if people, it starts with the other tips, just start. If you want to do something, don't wait till the 2nd of January or the 10th of January. Just right now is also possible.
Yeah.
There's a nice Twitter account, X account I have to say, that shows a bar of like how far the year has advanced. And I think so many people use the year as like a benchmark, which why that account is always funny, because it's always talking about it. Like, don't wait until I'm at 70% of the year. Just start right now. But I don't think it's like the end of a year. Like I was actually thinking about it. Like a year is actually so funny, but a year does means like you close up the books. You like it is an end of something. That's 100% true. Like from a business perspective. But from the personal aspect, like you have an idea, start today. And I think Gary Vee always talks about it, right? He always says 30 more days till the end of the year. Don't wait, just start today with whatever it is. Building a vlog, building a company, doing anything. It's the art of persuasion, which is almost human nature of a human to do that.
I even saw some Spotify ads lately, which I laughed at, so I guess it was effective, but they were like, the Spotify Wrapped is coming, like now's your chance to listen to the music to shape it. And I think like it's funny, but it's true. Like you should start now. You don't need to wait. And I even think like this is always, like you were talking about earlier in probably the last episode, now that you're listening, like sometimes things from your childhood like impact who you are today. And I always remember at the dentist, they'd be like, if you start flossing now, in 7 days it will be a habit. So that's kind of how I always think, like if I don't like doing something, but I want to do it, like if I can make it 7 days, it's locked.
True. Yeah, that's even smaller, like a productivity tip. If you don't really want to do something, just say to yourself, I'm going to do it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then in those 5 minutes, you forgot that you didn't want to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
then you just continue doing it. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any last kind of tips for the new year or learnings from 2023 that
Well,
we can pull?
I think the holidays in general is a great way to zoom out
Yes.
because the world is on a pause
Mm-hmm.
for a week more or less. So take that time, right? Take a
Yeah.
week, 2 weeks, whatever you need to zoom out,
Mm-hmm.
recharge, and be ready for early January to kill it, to make your dreams a reality.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people at Instant are very happy that you all give us like that week off as well, like regardless of our holidays throughout the year. I think like I know I always really appreciate having that time to just like be with my family or be with my own thoughts and recharge.
Yeah, I think it's important. There are, of course, jobs, like, for example, in the hospital where like you can't do it. But if you are at a company, a job where it is possible, like the job is not, you're not saving people, so to say, every minute.
Yeah.
I think you should give that time off because, it's nice for yourself. It's nice for everyone. So why not? It's not going to make you go bankrupt or anything. It's most likely will have a positive outcome instead of a negative one.
Absolutely. Well, maybe we can wish everyone happy holidays
Yes.
one last time.
Happy holidays.
Yeah. Say count of three.
And a
No.
happy new year.
Yeah.
And a happy new year.
Happy New Year, happy holidays, happy whatever holidays you celebrate. We hope you spend some time with your loved ones or with yourself if you need some time to recharge.
And we're going to be back next year, bigger than ever.
With
Bigger than ever.
Big change ahead.
Big change. So make sure that you tune in to maybe less festive but equally exciting 2024 version of the Founder's Diary.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
See you next year.
See you next year.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let's
Meant to
get
be.
started.
All right.
Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy holiday.
Happy,
Merry
happy,
Christmas.
happy, happy, happy holidays.
If you hear some noises during the podcast, it's the trommels.